get distracted. So you know it's important, and then something just knocks you off, and so you're doing something else. How often does that happen? I think for a lot of us it happens.
All day long.
All day long, she says.
I'm a property manager, all day long.
All day long.
And too often.
And too often.
Happening right now.
It's happening right now.
I turned my ringer off.
I think for most people, getting focused is easy. It's not hard to get focused. It's like New Year's Eve resolutions. So getting focused is not the problem. I think the problem is staying focused the long term. You know, knowing what you want and then staying through the course of not getting distracted. So if you're like me, how do you get focused? How do you get focused and stay focused? Well, you go online and you find out what they say. And they say this: get a good night's sleep, get out in nature, exercise, take breaks, listen to music, eat really well, healthy, avoid caffeine, make sure your office space isn't cluttered, and get this, have a to-do list. Now, who's got time for all of this? I mean, that's a lot. Who's got time to focus on this and stay focused? Very few people. So what if there was an easier way, a simple way to not only get focused, but to stay focused and to beat the odds? Because New Year's Eve resolutions, very few people stay the course, less than 5%. Together we're going to discover in this hour how to do just that, how to stay focused and get focused. I wish you were with me. The year was 1972. I was in Danbury, Connecticut with my grandparents. There was like 45, 50 people in the room, all of my relatives. They're all talking at once. They're eating, they're smoking, they're laughing, they're drinking. It's Christmas Day, my birthday. And my uncle is sitting right next to me, Uncle Victor, and he is a showman. He was a dancer on Broadway, been involved in the performing arts his whole life. And all of a sudden, I'm 10 years old, he picks up a quarter, and he shows it to me just like this. And he goes like this, and it's gone. What? Vic, Uncle Vic, how did you do that? Can't tell you, kid, it's a secret. I know, but I can keep a secret. He says, yeah, I know, so can I. So the whole night I'm begging him. I'm like, come on, Uncle Vic, tell me how you did it. And I said, look, I never even had a birthday party. Tell me how you made that coin disappear. He said, come here. That's the way I did it. It was that night that he introduced me to misdirection. And misdirection taught me this one thing. The conscious mind is easily distracted. I would not be here tonight if it wasn't for the fact that he introduced me to misdirection that night. And what she taught me was the conscious mind is easily distracted. So let me show you. Take your hand out like this, make a fist, and bring one finger up just like that. Okay, let's start over. This is your thumb, not your finger. Misdirection. And Rich has seen it a couple times. All right, now make a circle with your thumb and your forefingers, just like this, a circle. See the circle? And hold it right up to your ear, and then just put it on your chin. Okay, this is your chin, right? This is your chin, misdirection. So what misdirection taught me is that the conscious mind is easily distracted. Here's another one. January of this year, I'm at the MGM. David Copperfield is right there where Rich is. I'm like 5 feet away from him. David Copperfield walks out and he does this. So let's do it together. Take your left arm, put it over the right. So left over the right. Now if you can do this, you're going to bring your thumbs down like this and hold it together. Just really tight. Now if you're doing it right, I'm looking in the back. The pinkies are at the top and the thumbs are at the bottom. Now don't hurt yourself, but just do this. Misdirection. Misdirection. What misdirection taught me is the conscious mind is easily distracted. So I'm going to show you how I did this. But you have to promise, since David Copperfield does this in Vegas, and I know you didn't pay $150 to be here, but this is how he opens his show. He walks out with nothing in his hands, and this is exactly what he does. So you can teach people, but promise you don't tell them. So this is how we do it. Take your left, bring it over your right. This is what we did. And then you bring your hands down like this. Now this is what I did. I said if you're doing it right, your pinkies are at the top. And I don't know if you noticed, I said your thumbs are at the bottom. And at that point I let go. And then I brought my hands together like this. And that's how I did it. The conscious mind is easily distracted. And so when you're looking at your thumbs, you don't recognize that I let go. That's how. Spoiler alert. So let's do it again, but this time I want you to pay attention and I want you to focus when I let go and do this. I want you to focus on that one element, all right? Take your left, bring it over the right, bring it down like this. Make sure your pinkies are at the top, your thumbs are at the bottom. Now this is the point, remember? But I don't have to. Misdirection.
Oh my goodness.
So what misdirection taught me, if you're taking notes, number one, first point of wisdom, is the conscious mind is easily distracted. Now, if misdirection had a husband, his name would be multitask. Multitask is an illusion. We can't do it. I mean, I love to talk on the phone and cook a meal, make the laundry or do the laundry, do all these things. But the truth is, we're really not made to multitask. It's kind of really an illusion. We can't do it. And the more we do it, the more stressed out we are. Like for instance, people who get behind the wheel and drive, over 400,000 people every year, just in America, get into car accidents because they're driving their car and they look down at their cell phone at the wrong time. The average person picks up their phone, taps it, swipes it, clicks it 2,600 times a day. That's crazy. And sadly, 4,000 people every year in America die simply because they're driving the car, they look down at their phone at the wrong time, and it's the last time they look down at their phone. In business, the average person that goes to work at a job, how many of you are still working? They waste about 12 and a half hours every single week because they're going to work, but they're looking at their cell phone, they're not totally engaged. And it's estimated that $650 billion is wasted every single year because people aren't engaged in work. Now next week I'm doing a customer service program for a group of people that want to improve customer service. And first thing I say is you've got to focus. You've got to focus on the person that's in front of you. What's your first name?
Pat.
Pat?
Patty.
Patty. So if I'm talking to Patty, I don't want to be looking over at my friend Rich. I don't want to be looking at my cell phone. I don't want to be distracted. I want her to know that she's the most important thing, you know, in the conversation. So in customer service or in sales, Patty's the focus. If I'm looking at my watch or I'm looking at my cell phone or looking over at Rich or someone else, it's an indication to you that you're just not important. So I'm focused on you, and I really can't see Rich at this point. I really can't see anybody at this point. I really can't even see my fingers at this point, even though I know they're there, but I can't focus on everything. It's totally impossible. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Take your right foot, put it out like this, right foot just like this, and make it go around in a circle clockwise, starting at 7 and going around to 12. Just get it around clockwise. Hold up your right hand at the same time and move your right hand counterclockwise as your foot is going around clockwise. It's almost impossible. It's really hard to do. So multitasking is an illusion. So I asked many of you to write things down. What's important to you? If it's really important to you and you want to get it, the secret is not to multitask. Because if you multitask, well, let me tell you this. If misdirection and multitask got together and started a family, the baby's name would be Overwhelm. So Overwhelm. There's a guy by the name of George Miller that wrote a paper many, many years ago called The Magical Number of 7. How many? 7. How many? 7. And what he said was, there's billions of bits of information that are going on in the room, and we can't focus on everything. Can't focus on Patty, and Rich, and Susan, and Valerie, and Fran. It's impossible. Too many things going on. It's totally impossible. So what he says is 7 bits of information, give or take 2. That's it. We think we can do everything, but we can't. If you're stressed out, it's because you're trying to do too many things at the same time. Have you ever seen this video online called The Monkey Business Illusion? Anybody seen it? All right, so spoiler alert. Go online, Google this, called Monkey Business Illusion. They have two teams. One team is wearing all black. They're all here. The other team is wearing all white. They're over there. And they're passing the basketball between the groups. So this group is passing the basketball. That group is passing the basketball. And they say, how many times does the basketball get passed? And the answer, spoiler alert, you know this because you've seen it, is 16. But then they ask the question. What's the question, you remember? Did you see the gorilla? We did a gig together at a college or a high school, and he dressed up like a gorilla. They had a guy dressed as a gorilla. Remember? Is this coming back?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. After all the drugs we did? All right, so this guy walks out, beats his chest, and goes like this, and only 50% of the people saw the gorilla. Because they're counting the passes, and they don't see it. So it'd be like this. If I were to tell you to look around the room for 7 things that were red, you could do it, right? My socks are red. That's red. There's a fire extinguisher, there's a flag, there's always a flag. So we could focus on 7 things that are red. But if I said to you, now I want you to focus on 7 things that are blue, like this gentleman's shirt, or your mask, or your shirt, or your jeans, we could do 7 things that are blue, right? But then if I asked you to add another 7 things that were red and another 7 things that were blue, you would be in a state of overwhelm. You can't do it. We are limited. The conscious mind cannot handle all of that and easily is distracted. So getting back to the monkey business illusion. They brought the same group back in, identical. They placed them in front of the video. They asked them to watch it. They said, now count the passes, but also look for the gorilla. So they played the video. At the end, they said, hey, how many of you saw the gorilla? Everybody did. Every single person. They felt so proud of themselves. And then they said, did you notice that the curtain went from red to something like blue? It changed colors. No one noticed it. No one noticed it. One person got up and walked off the stage. No one even noticed it. So why? It's what I learned when I was 10 years old from misdirection. The conscious mind is easily distracted. The second thing I learned from my mother when I was a teenager, but I didn't want to learn it and I resisted it 100%. We would sit in front of the television. It's like I was like 12, 13 years old, and these commercials would come on, like The Exorcist for a movie, The Poltergeist, and all of these things, and she would literally roll her eyes. She's like, I can't wait. I'm like, Mom, what are you talking about? She said, be careful what you expose your mind to. I said, Mom, give me a break. She said, I'm going to tell you something, Gregory. The unconscious mind is easily conditioned. And I'm like, yeah, right. When I was 12, 13, when you were that age, I didn't listen to my mom at all. Then I realized she was telling the truth. She'd say, be careful what you expose your mind to, what you read, what you listen to, who you hang out with, and how you let all of this information into your unconscious. It's like this. This has been off the air for years. Don't squeeze the Charmin. We all know it. Where's the beef? That's been off the air. And that only didn't run that long. It was only like weeks. Here's another one. You deserve a break today at McDonald's. So the conscious mind and the unconscious mind are easily conditioned. We know it. And I think the easiest or the most famous example of this is a movie that I love. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Groundhog Day. Have you seen it? Groundhog Day. Phil Connors, it goes in, and think of a triangle. At the very top of the triangle is me, 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 me. All he thinks about is himself. He wakes up in the morning, it's Sonny and Cher, I got you, babe, right? And then he hears this on the radio. Rise and shine, campers, and don't forget your booties, because it's cold outside, it's Groundhog Day. He gets up, walks over to the window, he sees everybody going to Nobbler Hill, and it's Groundhog Day. Big deal. Next day, have you seen the movie? The next day, it's the same thing. And the next day it's the same thing. He's living the same day over and over and over again. And he tries to break the spell, but he can't. Because what's running the show is his unconscious mind. It's what he believes, his values, his worldview, and his identity. He tries to work with the conscious mind, but he can't break it until something shifts within him. And what shifts really is his identity. So people who study this say we have anywhere from 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day. That's a lot. So what's today? Tuesday, the 25th of October. So based on the research, you're going to have 90% of the same thoughts tomorrow. So this is what's really startling. When I first read about this, I was shocked. We have 45 to 65,000 thoughts every single day, and 90% of them are the same. So our life is pretty much like Groundhog Day, in that we repeat patterns over and over again. The people we see, the places we go, the clothes that we wear, the places that we drive. People that study this say anywhere from 43 to 48% of our thinking, our actions, and our words are completely habitual. Think about that. That's your life. So as you're thinking about that, maybe you think about all the clothes you have, you only wear about 20% of it, and the friends that you talk to, and the people that you talk to, the food that you eat, the things that you do is very limited because you're running patterns over and over again. So I'd like you to think about a pattern, two different geometric shapes, really simple, without a square being involved. And in the middle, I'd like you to put a number and have two colors for these shapes. So we have a lot of people in the room. How many of you thought of a 7? How many of you thought of red? How many of you thought of blue? How many of you thought of circle? How many of you thought of a triangle? Any of those? Any of those? Did they hit?
All of them.
So all of them. Look at your card. There's a red triangle. There's a circle. That's all done on purpose. If you flip the card over, it says Greg Dwyer ebook, and the color is blue. And I talked about the curtain changing from red to blue. I talked about the magical number of 7. I also talked about making a circle. I told you to take your foot out and put it at 7 o'clock and move it around as a circle. I talked about the guy who was full of himself with a triangle. So all of these are patterns that I talked about in the lecture to see if you would be conditioned. To kind of remind you that maybe you're conditioning yourself as well. Groundhog Day. So from 1999 to 2019, I struggled in business, made money, lost money, spent a lot of money on books, seminars, and tapes, did all the programs. And what I was really focused on is I was focused on the conscious mind. I was focused on trying to change the focus of my conscious mind, and it didn't work. I mean, I made money, but then I lost money, or some business venture would work and then it would not work. And it wasn't until 2019 that I got a phone call to speak in Vegas and in the UK that changed my life. This guy called me up, his name is Ken, and he says, we want you to speak in London, and we want you to speak in Vegas. I said, no problem. So I went out to Vegas, and I did this speech for about 25 entrepreneurs, and after it was over, I was invited to a party afterwards. Most of the people were entertainers, most of the people were in the business of entertainment, and I met this guy by the name of Kenton. And I really liked him because he really had a good business mindset, and I really wanted to work with him. So I asked him, I said, would you mentor me? He said, yes. And the first thing we did is we sat down in his kitchen. By the way, I need to tell you this. I spent a lot of money with this guy, and I literally moved into his house for 2 days. It was crazy. We worked around the clock for 2 days. And the first thing he said to me was, I'll never forget it. He says, can you keep a secret? I go, keep a secret? Yeah, why would you ask me that? He said, because I need to know that you're not going to tell people these things. You'll show them and maybe teach them, but you can't tell people these things because they can't get it on the first time. I said, okay, fine. And I said, so what's the secret? What is the secret to not struggling? And he said this. People who are successful, they know what they want, they know what's important, and they condition their unconscious mind to get it. I'm like, is that it? It's that simple? He says, it's that simple. He said, you remember what Houdini said? I said, what? Houdini said, my brain is the key that sets me free. I said, yeah, I've heard that before. He says, it's true. It's how you think about how you think. I said, what do you mean? He says, it all has to do with reflection. How you see things, how you feel things, and how you hear things. I said, what do you mean? And before I knew it, I had this in my hand. Now, did you all get a string and a washer? Okay, hold it out with me like this. And this is what he said to me. He said, I want you to imagine that the clock is going around clockwise. And it's going from 12 to 3 to 6, and it's going around in a circle. And I want you to visualize this in your mind first. And then I want you also to feel, as the minute hand is going around in a circle, you can feel it clicking as it's going around in a circle. And you can also hear the noise of the minute hand as it's going around in a circle. So as I was holding the watch in my hand, and he was talking to me about visualizing or feeling or hearing, my watch was going around in a circle. So as you're looking at your watch, how many of you can relate to this? You're thinking about it going around in a circle. So this is a reflection. What he taught me was, this is a reflection of the conscious and the unconscious mind working together. Did it go around the circle for you? Went around the circle for you? Raise your hand if, yeah, most of us got it, right? So let's do this. I need a volunteer. Who would like to volunteer? Who would like to volunteer? Rich, come on up, Rich. Give him a hand. Rich here, everybody. All right. So, Rich, yes. I want you to put your hands just like this, and I want you to imagine that within, this is visualization, within your two hands, one hand is your conscious mind, the other one is your unconscious mind, that your hands are coming together, and in between your two hands is this white light of energy. And you're bringing your hands together, and as you do that, you wrote down a word, right? I did. So inside that circle of energy, insert that word that you know and no one else knows. And then as you do that, the circle will turn to gold, and your hands will come together and together and together and together and together. So this is visualization. Simple, right? Yep. So you wrote something down. I did. Does anybody know it? Nobody does. Nobody knows. Okay.
I even forget.
You did?
No, make some.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got it.
So I wonder what's important to you. So if you could, every day, use your imagination to bring your hands together and visualize that what you want is coming to you. I know it sounds elementary, it sounds really silly to do, but it works. And as you do this over and over again, maybe you just spend like a couple minutes every day just thinking about what you want. Now I know it's not love, and it's not marriage, nope. It's not it's success.
Wow.
Is it?
You're good.
Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
Good. Give him a hand. Wow. Excellent. Thank you, Rich. So how will you know when you're successful? What will have to happen for you to know that you are successful?
There's definitely, for me, different degrees of success.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just doing something that I love and I'm good at. And I mean, money to me doesn't mean success. It's more
right.
about just what I'm doing it well, and I'm able to just...
So are you already successful?
Yeah. Because I'm doing a lot of things I do love.
Right. Excellent. Yeah, wonderful. Good. Give him a hand. That's great. Success! Excellent, excellent. Patty, would you help me?
Sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, come on up. Yeah, you can put your card away so I don't look at it at all.
Okay.
So what Kenton taught me is, number one, to visualize what you want, like what's really important to you. That's, and to see it coming together. But the reason why I asked him about success is because I think he's already successful already. I mean, he's a comedian, you've written books, you've gone to Barnes & Noble, you've had more people in the room than I have tonight. I mean, you have a podcast. So I'm thinking to myself, what has to happen for this guy to be successful? So it has to be a visualization of saying, wow, I'm already there, right? So whatever you wrote down, I don't know, right? I have no idea. So one of the things you want to do is you want to write things down.
Uh-huh.
It's very important because when you write things down, it imprints into your unconscious. How many of you have written goals? Anybody? 1, 2, 3. So 30 years ago, this is true, 30 years ago, I wrote down that I wanted to travel the world. That I wanted to go to Fiji and Europe and all over the world. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the means, I didn't have the time, but I wrote it down in a journal. And then in 2009, I went to work for a college and I became their director of relations, alumni relations, and I started a business taking people all over. I've been to Fiji, I've been to Europe, I've been to all over. And it starts with knowing what you want, being really clear about visualizing it, and then writing it down, because in the process of writing it down, you're driving it into your unconscious mind. How many of you that have written goals have daily written goals? See, this is the key. The key is not just to write it down once and to forget about it, but to write it down over and over and over again. So I'm going to give you a clock. And on the other side is a clock, and I'd like you to circle a number of the clock. So it could be 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It doesn't have to be 7, but you're just going to circle one of them, and I want you to think about it. And when you're done, just put the pen on the table and the card on the table face down so that I know that you're done. So just circle a number, and then put the card face down and the pen face down.
Okay.
All right, good. So true story. This is a story of Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. I don't know what you think of these guys, but this is a true story, so I'm telling it to you. So Bill Gates comes to a party. This is the very first time that they met. Bill sat over here, Warren Buffett sat over there. And one of the moms, I don't know which mom it was, said, Bill, I want you to write down a word. This is a true story. You can Google this. I want you to write down a word that represents the reason why you're successful. Right? That's why I asked you about success. And then over here, Warren Buffett, I want you to write down a word that represents why you're successful. Now, these guys never talked. There was no communication at all. They never met before. This guy was over here, other guy was here. He writes down one word, not a sentence, not a paragraph. He writes down another word. They flip it over. Guess what the word was?
Focus?
It was focus. It was focus. And I said to myself, there's no way in the world this was the first time they wrote this down. They must have written it down before. They must have thought about it. And they came to the conclusion that that was the key to their success. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Right.
Okay. Hold this out like this. And, oops.
There you
All right. Now, I want you to think about what you wrote down on your card, which you wrote down when you came into the room. And face the audience. I'll do the same thing as well. All right. Now, focus on the watch going in a circle. So you can hear it going into a circle. You can, okay, it's already actually moving. Right. So even now, as you are thinking about this, going into a circle, it is going into a circle. Do you see that going stronger and stronger and stronger? That's powerful. So this is a window into her unconscious mind, because you're not consciously doing this. Like, you're not forcing this to happen in any way. So now, let's see if we can get it to go back the other way. So in other words, counter the other way. Can you do it without making it happen? You're just thinking about it happening. See how it's going the opposite way? Can you see it in the back?
That's so weird.
That is so weird because we didn't rehearse any of this. So while you're thinking about the number of 12 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you're totally forgetting about what you wrote down. But I want you to realize that what you're thinking on an unconscious level every single day is influencing your life. whether you are aware of it or not, whether you are conditioning your mind or not, what you're seeing, what you're bringing into your mind is actually influencing you.
Wow.
Yeah, you know how I know? Open watch. You just pop it from the top. It's just got to pop. You just, yep, you got it. What number did you think of? What-
6.
And what time is it?
6 o'clock.
Very nice. Give her a hand. I gotta show Rich because he's not gonna believe it. 6 o'clock, right, Rich? All right, have a seat.
Amazed every time.
All right, I'm looking for a volunteer that literally wants to change their life. Not you. Okay, come on up. Give him a hand.
All right.
What is your name?
James.
James. Thanks for joining us. Now, I don't know if you had a chance to write down anything, did you?
No.
Can you think about something that's important to you without telling me?
Yeah.
Okay. So you look at the audience, think about what you want. Imagine that you wrote it down. You didn't, but just imagine, James, that you wrote it down.
Okay.
On a scale to 1 to 10, 10 being like, this is definitely going to happen. Like with Rich, when he says to me success, I say, oh my gosh, I wouldn't hang around losers. He is a success, right? Right, you are a success. A lot of you are successful. Lawyers, entrepreneurs, you're all successful. Your retirement age, so you know what you want. On a scale to 1 to 10, 10 being like you're really certain and confident that you're going to get it, and 1 being like you're not certain. Give us the honest number. So you think of a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is right in the middle. Like, maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. 10 is like, no, this is definitely happening. Where are you?
9.
Excellent. Without telling me what you're thinking, how could you get to a 10? What would have to happen?
It would have to work out.
Okay.
It would have to happen.
So we're going to make it work out first in your visualization, what you see,
All right.
and what you feel, and what you hear. So this is what I did. I came up with a deck of cards. They're not for sale, but they're a pack of cards, and they're unique because every single card has an affirmation on them. And I've memorized every single card. So there's 52 cards, 1 for every day. This one I love. Be grateful for what you have, and life will bring you more. That's powerful. Because we can always look at the brighter side, or we can look at the darker side. Here's another one that I love. Stay positive and think successful. Do you find one that you like?
Yeah.
Okay, what does it say?
No fear and no limits.
Absolutely. All right, so take that card, and I'll take the rest. So hold on to that one. So say that to yourself out loud, or say it out loud, I should say.
Okay. No fear and no limits.
All right, now, James, imagine there's a circle in front of you. I'm going to call this the circle of excellence. What color would I give that circle? Use your imagination.
Gold.
Excellent. So it's gold. Visualization. The gold circle. Excellent. Now he's got a card in his hand. He's going to hear himself say it. You know what you want. Step in that circle.
Okay.
Say it out loud.
No fear and no limits.
Now how do you feel? You still a 9?
Feel good.
You a 9 or a 10?
Oh. It's still a 9.
Okay, great. Step back. That's fine. What would it have to happen to get to a 10?
It would just have to, I would have to like get, it would have to work like, I don't know how to describe it.
All right, because you don't want to tell me what it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
no,
isn't it?
yeah, no, don't tell me. That's fine. It's not like I read your mind. So let's do this.
Okay.
This is a circle of happiness. This is a circle of achievement. This is a circle of gold. What's the card say?
No fear and no limits.
Now step in.
Okay.
Do you feel any different or the same?
There's a auspicious hope.
Okay, so what are you saying, a 9.2?
9.2.
Okay, great. Okay, all right, great. Step back. Excellent.
Where's this going?
No, I'm going to show you exactly. So we're going to see contrast here. We're going to work on some contrast. So every single card is different. You can take a look at them.
Okay.
I would like you to select a card unconsciously. In other words, you're going to pick the card, or I should say the card is going to pick you, but you're not going to focus on what it is. So just make sure all of them are different. So just take a look at them. They're all different, yes? And then turn them upside down so that you can't see which they are. Every single card is different. There's not, they don't repeat, right?
But I had to read them all.
You had to read them all. All right, so Take one and put it in the box. Just wherever you think to stop, your unconscious mind knows exactly what you need to hear.
Okay.
And just place it right inside the box. And we will look at that later. We don't have to look at it now. And then I'd like you to stand over here. Now this circle over here, I'd like you to see it. It is not gold. It's not gold.
Okay.
It represents despair, depression, sadness, frustration, and setbacks. What color is that circle?
Brownish green.
Okay, brownish green. So we're using visualization in the contrast, right? Now this circle is a negative circle. It's a circle that would scream to you something like, this is never going to work, or I can't make this happen. Can you hear yourself saying that? Have you ever said that to yourself?
No.
Never.
Yeah, no.
Okay, good. All right. Step in the circle.
Okay.
How do you feel? Any different?
Yeah, and I don't feel confident.
You don't?
I feel confused.
You
I don't
do
even know what I
feel-
want to say.
Okay, step back. Now, this is what's interesting. This is how we do things. Thank you for doing this. This is how we do things every day. We say things to ourselves, we feel things, right? And we also visualize. We're doing this to ourselves. Now, before you step into the circle, I'm going to give you a challenge. Put your hand out like this, and there's a lock there, and there's a couple keys. There's one key here, and there's one key over there.
Okay.
So I'd like you to step inside the circle and choose a key and put it in the lock. Go ahead.
Okay.
Put a key in the lock. Go ahead. Each one, doesn't matter. And then tell me the emotion that you're feeling when you're doing this. It's not going to work, by the way. Go ahead, turn it. What's the emotion you feel?
Apprehensive.
Okay, good. All right, we're just playing. But this is what you do all the time. This is what I do all the time. Check out the other key. Now think about what you want that you didn't write down, but you know what it is because you were over here as a 9. How do you feel now in this circle that's brown and green and the lock doesn't work? Give me a number.
2.
All right, step back. This is what we do. This is amazing, what you're showing us.
Okay.
We're playing around with visualization, am I right? We're playing around with feelings. Put another key in, try another key. I don't want you to think it opens on the 3rd time. We have this sensation, this ain't working. Have you ever said that to you? Oh my gosh, this ain't working, right? And then you get into a funk, you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, and you're telling me you're a 2?
Yeah.
Oh. And we're just playing. All right, stand over here. Let's get you going into the gold circle. But before we do that, here, you have to believe me, I wouldn't lie to you. This is the right key that opens the lock. This is not a trick, I'm not setting you up. This is absolutely the right key. So before I give it to you, imagine stepping into the gold circle with what you want, and then you take the key, you're using your imagination, because I'm telling you that this is going to happen before it's going to happen. You're going to see this, you're going to feel this, and you're going to hear actually the lock opening
Okay.
before you do it. So you're using your visualization, you're feeling it, and you're also going to hear it click. Now step into the circle and open the lock. How do you feel now?
Very good.
Okay, good. So, based on what you said you wanted, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you?
Oh, it is a 10.
Okay, good. All right.
It was a 10.
All right. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. Since this is Magic Week and it's Halloween, I went out to the dollar store and I got another prop. It's Halloween. So lock the lock and drop the 3 keys in here. Rich, you want to shake that up for me?
I do.
Good. All right. I want to say James, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So James, in a moment, you're going to step into that circle. What color is that circle?
Gold.
Not yet, not yet, stay back. So, you're going to do this. What Kenton told me is successful people know what they want. They see it in advance, they feel it, and they hear it. So my question for you is, do you think you can pick the correct key out of 3? Do you think you can stand into the gold circle, take the key which you choose, and open the lock, and still be at a 10 or more?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyone you want, my friend. All right, he's got 1 key. Step in the circle. There you go. James, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Best demo I've ever had, that's the truth.